To check out the new shape layers, let's start out by opening a project. First, navigate to your Project Files folder, then navigate to the Chapter 8 folder, then double-click on the file named 08 Shape Layers. Before we begin to talk about shape layers, let's take a look at Illustrator because there are many correlations that we can draw between the two applications. Now, if you don't have Illustrator, that's fine. You can follow along, and I've included some Illustrator files here in the project panel for you to follow along. Before we do anything else, I want to close out the panels on the right side of the application frame, so I'll have a little more room to see my comp window. We'll start by looking in the folder called Takoyaki Illustration Layers. By opening up the folder, we can see that the contents are an eye, a head, and a mouth. We'll drag those into the comp one at a time, starting with the head, then the eye, and the mouth. These elements were created in Illustrator, then imported. However, each one of these Illustrator layers contains many more layers that we can see in Illustrator, even though we can't see them here. Remember, After Effects can import any layer from Illustrator. However, within Illustrator, I can have many different shapes in a single layer. To see what those might look like in Illustrator, we'll edit one of these layers. Now, if you don't have Adobe Illustrator, you can just watch along. In After Effects, I'll use Control-E or Command-E on the Mac to edit the original. This will open up the file in Illustrator. Next, I'll use F7 on the keyboard to display the layer window. I'll simply undock the layer window and move it over closer to the image. Then open up the window to allow more room to see what's in each layer. Here I can see the list of layers that After Effects has imported. First, there's the head, then the layer for the eyes, and last, the layer for the mouth. But inside these layers, there are different paths that make up different images within the layer. In the mouth layer, not only is there a path for the mouth, but also the teeth and a clipping path. Inside the eyes, we can see that there are also groups of eyeballs, pupils, and highlights. If we navigate back to After Effects by using Alt-Tab or Command-Tab on the Mac, we can see that After Effects is only going to recognize the layers and not the individual shapes within each one of those layers. Although After Effects isn't looking at the individual pieces of the layer, it can still continuously rasterize the image if we turn on continuous rasterization in the switches column of the timeline. Now, no matter how far we scale this above 100, After Effects will continue to refer back to the Illustrator file in order to rasterize this image. We can see this by typing S on the keyboard to reveal the scale parameters, then changing the value from 100 to even 400%. After Effects isn't redrawing paths, but instead rasterizing the images created in Illustrator. We'll change this back to 100%, and then take another look at the way After Effects and Illustrator interact. We'll use Alt-Tab to go back to Illustrator and create a new document. So with Control-N or Command-N on a Mac, we'll simply create a new document. It can be any document profile. In Illustrator CS3, we can now set up a profile based on video and film.